Climate change. You've heard that story on repeat, that carbon dioxide is the villain. The earth is warming and we're all doomed unless we go green. But what if I told you that that story is dangerously incomplete? What if the real enemy isn't the gas at all, but something far more immediate, far more invincible, and far more misunderstood? The truth is, carbon dioxide may not just be the mastermind behind climate change. Well, heat itself, the war of thermal energy, could just be the villain in this story. Let's pull back the curtains and see what's really driving the chaos in our climate. Hi, my name is Sifon-Abasi Anietie, and I am an undergraduate in Petroleum Engineering, and my work extends beyond just engineering into astrophysics and climate science. Today, I want to share some findings that could completely change the way you think about climate change, maybe even forever. And yes, that's true. But here is the catch. The gas itself isn't the real trigger. The heat is. Think of it like this. Blaming CO₂ for climate change is like blaming your blanket for sweating at night. The blanket didn't create the heat, it just trapped it. I don't just want you to take my word for it. I just want you to try it. You could possibly test it yourself. So, here's a very simple experiment that you could try at home, or in the lab, or even in your kitchen if you're brave enough. So, this is exactly what you will need. You will need a block of ice that could be kept in a metal tray. You would also need a CO₂ source or a CO₂ gas cylinder from a lab supply. You would also need a hairdryer or anything that blows warm air. You also need a notebook to take notes upon observation, and a room at normal temperature. It could be possibly 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Do you have those? Good. So let's do some science together. First, gently apply CO₂ gas directly onto the block of ice. You have to watch very carefully. Does it melt fast? Or does it barely move? Now, take your hair dryer, switch it on, and aim it at another block of ice. Now, you have to watch carefully. The ice this time melts very rapidly, almost racing to disappear. Write down your result, but in fact, just pause this video if you're actually doing the experiment. If not, just imagine the scene. But please don't use your mom's hairdryer. Here's what I found when I tried it. With CO₂, the ice melted slowly. Just a little trickles of water, nothing dramatic. But with heat, the ice melted so rapidly. Why? Because the CO₂ by itself is just a gas, but the heat energy from the hairdryer did cause a dramatic physical change. And that's our first clue. Climate change is less about the gas itself and more about the energy that it carries. The idea that CO₂ causes climate change do come from the observation that it traps huge amount of heat in the atmosphere. But when cars, engines and factories do release huge amount of CO₂ or carbon dioxide, it also releases huge amounts of heat. Once CO₂ cools down, its thermal effect is so tiny, but the heat energy that is being released during combustion, that's so immediate. That's very destructive. So, what's really harming our planet? Not just CO₂ gas, but the thermal pollution that we release every single day. Car factories and power plants, they don't just emit gases, they dump heat into the air, into the oceans, into the land. Even if we somehow removed CO₂ tomorrow but kept releasing this heat, Earth will still suffer. It's like emptying a trash can but continuing to throw garbage on the floor. Now, I want to hear from you. Try the ice experiment wherever you are. Did you get the same result? Different? Let me know in the comments. If you do not have the tools, you could possibly make a prediction. Do you really think heat or gas makes a bigger difference? Let's debate it out. This is just the beginning. In chapter 2, we explore the science of heat and how all these processes really do shape our climate, not just CO₂ alone. Because the story of climate change is much bigger and much hotter. So please do well to hit the like and subscribe, as well as share with a friend who still thinks that CO₂ is the only villain. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.